Yesterday, police were combing for clues and appealing for information to help identify the body of a young woman. Today came the heartbreaking news for family and friends. Confirmation it was 23-year-old mother of two Claire Weston of Rutherford, while 30-year-old George Ballantyne of Greeter headed to Maitland Court facing a murder charge.
Yesterday afternoon, we had a gentleman walk into the station and to tell us certain things in relation to his involvement in that matter. That person has since been charged with murder.
He was interviewed at Maitland Police Station yesterday and taken to the crime scene on the bank of the Hunter River near the Melville Ford Bridge at Aberglasslyn. According to the police charge sheet, it's alleged that between 2 a.m. and 8:10 yesterday, Ballantyne murdered Claire Weston. Police also alleged that they were known to each other but wouldn't elaborate further. The cause hasn't been confirmed, but police believe there is nothing to indicate a weapon was used, while drowning wasn't ruled out.
There will be an autopsy today, and as a result of that autopsy, we hope to have further information as to the cause of death.
A Facebook page, RIP Claire Weston, was set up today by friends, many leaving condolence messages for her family, including two young children. George Robert Ballantyne didn't apply for bail, but it was formally refused while he remained in the holding cells. The case has been adjourned to April 24 in Newcastle. Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
A Millers Forest farmer for 45 years, but Gerald O'Brien has never seen anything like this.
No, never. Not anything close to it. They sort of it's been the flood. The floods come through, but we don't see this sort of stuff after the floods.
Dead fish, and lots of them, spread over kilometres. Others struggling on the banks of the Hunter River. There were more on the Williams.
We went up probably halfway up and they seemed to disperse then. So I'm tending to think that they're coming from the Hunter and getting washed back up there. Fishermen
were shocked.
Mullet, eels and of course the freshwater bass, which is a highly prized sport fish. And as a fisho, I really am sorry to see what is actually happening here at the present moment.
The numbers easily passed 1,000, but the extent will become clearer as the river goes down. With many fish left gasping for air, the EPA says recent flooding has taken oxygen from the water. It's doing more tests though.
With so many dead fish about, that gives us a pretty good indication that there's something pretty badly wrong with the water at the moment.
As you can imagine, the smell is already absolutely horrendous and it's going to get a lot worse.
I think we need mouthwash and sterilisation.
It's our fishermen, though, who'll be on tenterhooks. Nat Wallace, NBN News.
They're the heavyweights of the Hunter's wine producers, including Tyrrells, Draytons and McGuigan's, and they're taking aim at the state government. With the help of opposition leader John Robertson, they're building a campaign to have a $3 million cellar door rebate, which was cut last year, reinstated.
What is extremely frustrating is that this government has just taken it away. It's a single public servant has made a decision not knowing anything about this industry whatsoever.
The loss of the subsidy is costing Tyrrells and McGuigan wines $600,000 a year. For Draytons, it's around $100,000. That's hurting not only their businesses, but they claim it will destroy the local tourism industry, which relies so heavily on wine.
It takes a lot of money out of your budget every week, and you need to respond to that. So you have to look at the number of people at your cellar door.
But so far, Barry O'Farrell isn't budging.
Saying the guys, the decision's been made and we're not going to turn back.
And supporting their concerns, a Hunter Valley Research Foundation report prepared for the New South Wales Wine Industry Association has today revealed that 150 jobs could go due to the axing of the cellar door rebate.
Cellar doors may close, that is a strong possibility. Also, we may have to charge for tastings.
That's something wine lovers and makers hope will never have to happen. Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
Council wants to make sure that we can manage the property and build it up to its former glory. We'd like to get it done as quickly as possible, quite frankly.
It could be a landmark changing of the guard for the Anglican Diocese of Newcastle. Legislative changes within the church over the past 5 to 6 years have made it possible for women to head the diocese. And with Bishop Brian Farron standing down late last year, it opened the door for a female successor. The Right Reverend Kay Goldsworthy is among the 5 candidates nominated, including Reverend Dr Fergus King, Reverend Dr Stephen Pickard, Right Reverend Dr Peter Stewart and Reverend Canon Stephen Williams.
They've been nominated by people from the diocese who believe they have the gifts that we need in the next bishop.
The new bishop will have a lot of work to do, not only restoring the church's image in the wake of the Royal Commission into child sex abuse, but also tackling the issue of declining church attendance.
I guess we would say that probably half of our parishes are finding that there are challenges for the future in terms of attendance.
A report commissioned by the diocese which suggests selling 9 churches in the Newcastle area is still being considered.
There's no intention at this stage to sell anything. There is a review going on of what we might need for the future and where we might be best placed, but that's an ongoing work and an ongoing discussion.
Kath Landers, NBN News.
He's been a permanent fixture in the Jets' starting 11 for most of the campaign, but this season could be Dominic Ritter's first and last in red and blue. The Swiss defender is weighing up his options after rejecting an offer from Newcastle last month.
If they come up in a couple of weeks with another offer, we have to see. But can't really say. All I know is that the offer they made is not good enough for me.
Ritter was one of several Jets to be denied in front of goal on Friday night by Danny Vukovic.
I still can't believe he saved that. But he had a great game. I think we could have kept going for hours and we wouldn't score that day, and that's just football.
The Jets haven't had much luck with injuries either. Emil Heskey and Sam Galloway will both miss the trip to Adelaide. Michael Bridges and Ruben Zadkovic will be on light duties this week to ensure they're fit for Friday, while Zenon Caravella is also expected back to face his old side.
He's added a lot to the team in the time he's been here, and him having the experience of Adelaide will also be a good thing for the squad, a bit more confidence hopefully around the younger ones.
Meanwhile, dual A-League Grand Final winner Stuart Michalek continues his return to the game, training with the first grade squad again this morning. Michalek is preparing for a possible role with the Jets youth team in the upcoming NBN State League season. Mitchell Hughes, NBN News. With the first trial washed out, the game against Manly on Saturday was the last chance players had to push for a place in the Newcastle rep side. Noel Kinane was considered a certainty before suffering a serious knee injury. Michael Delors is one of a handful of players nursing complaints. This afternoon, coach Dan Beckett named a squad of 25 for Newcastle's defence of the Caldwell Cup, having been crowned country champions for the past 5 years. Defending NHRU premiers Hamilton will contribute the most players with 10, including the likes of Steve Lamont, Sorelli Bainivalu and Steve Sione. Former Anderson medal winner and Knights recruit Mark Wade is also in the mix.
Looking forward to him being a real weapon for Newcastle in Tamworth, and hopefully going to higher honours with country and obviously the carrot of that British Lions game later on in the year.
Newcastle's defence begins with an all-or-nothing clash against Central North in Tamworth.
It's 2 weeks to prepare for a grand final, really. The format's been changed, so we get one crack on that Saturday on the 23rd and we have to win.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
The consistent concern is very much the question, what is the impact on water, whether it be underground water or whether it be the connectivity potentially to surface water.
After a night out in the elements, the search for missing man Alan Williams resumed this morning. His vehicle was found off Link Road yesterday afternoon, and with no word from the father of 5, the outlook was bleak. With a number of health problems, his family was prepared for the worst.
He's had some ill health in the last 6 months or so, and he'd just been to the doctors that morning and wasn't in a good state of mind at all.
But this afternoon their fears turned to fortune, SES volunteers hearing his cries for help.
We kept asking for him to call out to we could locate him, and then I came across him.
The highest of praise from a family reunited.
Without the SES and the police's support in this, we would have never found him.
An ending to a story that could have been so different.
It's been a wonderful end to the day. And one that was unexpected for all of us.
Christy Reading, NBN News.
So the idea of this is to create space for a healthy root system and reduce the interaction and impact on the infrastructure.
For Kayleen Andrews and her family, their love for their mum Dorothy grows stronger by the day. After a nasty fall last year, the 80-year-old is immobile and in care at Muswellbrook Hospital. She needs a high care bed in an aged care facility, but locally that isn't available.
It was 4 weeks ago they actually said, no, you need to find another placement for her. which means out of town.
Hunter New England Health isn't accepting any new patients at its aged care unit. Currently, only 11 of its 18 beds are in use. It says it needs the space for its multi-million-dollar emergency ward. Those still living at the hospital come construction time will be moved to another area of the hospital.
It is essential that we have a new emergency department here at Muswellbrook to meet the needs of this growing community.
The health service is in the process of transferring the 18 beds to a private provider.
Now, those discussions are going very positively at this stage, but that process is not yet completed.
But Muswellbrook's Deputy Mayor believes the service has left its run too late.
Well, the time to solve that problem was maybe 8 to 10 years ago, not just as this problem is starting to emerge now.
In the meantime, families are being forced to put their loved ones into care outside the area, or, like Kayleen's family, take on the daunting task of providing full-time care.
She's raised 5 children on her own, one in a wheelchair, and, we owe it to her to look after her.
Christy Reading, NBN News.
So we think that we do need a local airport service in the area, and Belmont's the right place for it.
Ten-year-old Emily Carlin knows how lucky she is to be alive today. She was diagnosed with leukaemia at just 3 years old, but has been in remission since she was 7. Today, Emily was the guest of honour at the opening of the new Hunter Regional offices of the Cancer Council in Charlestown.
She hasn't stopped smiling today, so it's been a very good morning.
The offices provide a modern facility to hold cancer support group meetings and offer training for health professionals.
People need access to credible information and support, and that's what we're here for here in the Hunter.
A grant of more than $700,000 was also announced, aimed at helping find a cure for melanoma. The Cancer Council provides support to thousands of sufferers and has been with Emily and her family since the leukaemia diagnosis. Emily is among more than 3,300 people who get diagnosed with cancer every year in the Hunter region alone. Of those sufferers, more than 1,100 people don't make it.
We still go back and get blood checks just to make sure all the levels are right.
But while the battle is ongoing for Emily, the future is bright.
I'm planning to be a dance teacher because I just really enjoy it.
Reid Butler, NBN News.
Confirmation ammonia had escaped and Orica was on the front foot.
Our operators took immediate action upon seeing this happening and brought it under control fairly quickly.
The leak lasted less than 10 minutes. It was workers at the Newcastle port who smelt it, those in nearby Mayfield nervous about another failure.
We have their ongoing assurances that everything's under control, and every now and again they stumble, and they stumbled again yesterday.
Well, Orica's got a lot of explaining to do yet again.
The gas leak at the Kooragang Island plant comes after 2 incidents in 2011. The worst, a hexavalent chromium leak that put Stockton in lockdown.
We've made tremendous steps in our community engagement, and they were part of the groups that we informed yesterday after the incident occurred.
Is this a one-off incident though?
We produce ammonia, and we believe this particular incident was a one-off incident.
The Environmental Protection Authority didn't send officers to the site yesterday but says it is investigating and wants a full explanation.
Whether doing enough is always open to question.
And no one thinks Environment Minister Robin Parker's up to the job of regulating this company.
The Minister says she's concerned about another apparent breach and will wait for the findings of the investigation. Orica could face fines, which the state government has increased if it's found to have breached its operating licence. Nat Wallace, NBN News.
With a crowd of almost 22,000 on hand, the Knights made a nervous start. Jared Mullen kicked out on the full before the Tigers opened the scoring. From that point on, Newcastle dominated, Darius Boyd and James McManus combining for the Knights first. Akili Uwate proved he wants his New South Wales jersey back, capping off a break deep inside his own half with the first of 3 tries.
At least one. I wanted to score one at least.
Following a slow start in 2012, Boyd was heavily involved from the opening whistle. A fellow former Bronco, Dane Gagai, picked up where he left off last year, producing solid defence and scoring 2 of his own. A Queensland regular believes it's only a matter of time before Gagai earns a call-up.
I suppose Justin Hodges is, while he's a great player, he's getting older, and if Gags can, I suppose, play the way he's started off and keep his form up, and that I'm sure he'll get a good chance.
McManus capped off an impressive start to 2013 with his second.
Everyone was keen to play tonight. We didn't want to let the Newcastle people down, and we were awful last year, so put some pride back in this jersey.
Despite a few bumps and bruises to a handful of players, man of the match Jared Mullen was the only injury concern, but X-rays have confirmed no significant damage to his hand. Now leading the competition after round 1, the Knights aren't getting carried away.
There's always improvement. We'll take the win for sure, but we'll go back to the video during the week and we'll go from there.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News. He spends most of his time teaching others the finer points of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But after twisting and turning his way to victory at the Australian qualifying event, Gustavo Pinto is preparing to return to the World Professional Cup in Abu Dhabi to compete for $250,000 in prizes.
Actually, I was there in 2009 and I stopped at the quarters. I was going almost to the semi-finals, but this year I'm, go there at least to get to the podium.
Having spent 18 months off the mat because of knee surgery, the 34-year-old is back to his best, throwing himself around like competitors 10 years his junior. Even if he wins the ultimate prize, there are no plans to try his hand at mixed martial arts or ultimate fighting.
I'm already getting a little bit older. I'm actually a veteran in the sport already, so I'm probably going to be the oldest one there competing, and I can help out a lot of the people if they want to pursue MMA, so I'm here to help.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
It's a mission to unearth Maitland's past, to learn more about a town that had its origins more than 2 centuries ago.
Just as a tantalising glimpse into something that was there, and this gives us an opportunity to find out more about that.
The Archaeological Management Project was developed by Maitland City Council after the discovery of a basement dating back to the 1800s during renovations in the town's CBD.
It was found a beautifully intact, very sound, very stable. Was used by a milliner, so we found hairpins and hair combs that have since been used in interpreting that particular site.
A team of historians and archaeologists will analyse the artefacts before digging deeper.
So that means looking at maps, looking at photographs, looking at oral histories and written histories about Central Maitland.
So who would have thought that underneath these pavers was a 19th century basement, complete with a perfectly preserved fireplace? It's hoped that this new research could help unearth even more exciting discoveries.
What we are hoping to achieve out of this study is to be more informed, for property owners and for council to be more informed as to where there may be an archaeological resource.
Locals who can help piece together any more history are being encouraged to get in touch with Maitland Council. Reid Butler, NBN News.
She's a big name on daytime television and has captured the heart of this Hunter teenager. In a few days, Ellen DeGeneres will arrive in Australia and Aaron Jordan is hoping he'll get the chance to meet her.
With Ellen coming out to Australia, we thought this was just perfect. She's got such a huge viewing and contacts, you know. We thought she was the one to target and try and get on our side, didn't we, Aaron? Hey?
The 17-year-old suffers from an extremely rare degenerative condition known as AT, a combination of 5 major disorders including cystic fibrosis and leukemia. Worldwide, there is only 1,000 recorded cases and there is no cure.
We just watch him very closely and we make every day a special day.
He is unable to walk and has trouble communicating, but his family is taking to social media to get Ellen's attention.
Tried to get as many shares as we could and it just went mad. In the first 3 days we just couldn't keep up with it.
Now the post has over 50,000 likes and even if they don't meet Ellen, the family has been blown away by the response.
We just make a huge difference and to get AT out there and to just spread that awareness for a start would be just amazing.
Diana Bushby, NBN News. For many workers, getting away from the desk to exercise can be a challenge, but a new local initiative is encouraging workers to swap their suits for running shoes.
Because we're sitting down all day, we just thought it was best to, get out, a bit of exercise, meet some new people, and we can do some networking at the same time.
The Hunter Business Netwalkers met in Civic Park for the first time today, setting out on a 30-minute walk, an opportunity to improve health.
Being seated for long periods of time, particularly in an office job, has been demonstrated to be poor for heart health.
And do some networking.
It's designed to let business people get out for a quick walk and also network at the same time, so a bit of multitasking.
It is the first of its kind in the CBD, and they hope the group will grow in the next few weeks.
This is the first one, once a week, so no great time investment by people, but hopefully over the coming months it will grow quite substantially and we'll take things from there.
Diana Bushby, NBN News.
Last week, Aku Uwate snatched a new deal with the Knights. This week, it was his opposite James McManus, all smiles.
It's a great club, it's a great town. I'm really happy to be here for another 3 years.
We first met the Scottish-born Darwin-based McManus in 2007. From the Knights to Origin, it seemed nothing was too big a task for the star winger. But putting his body on the line eventually took its toll. The ankle went, the knee as well, and then, of course, a stray elbow busted his face open.
Didn't quite straighten my nose, but close enough. We've been through some injuries. The club supported me great through all those, and sort of backed me when maybe they didn't need to.
And now it's onwards and upwards with a premiership in sight for 2013. Two tries in the Knights' opening win against the Tigers, and McManus is happy to try and wrestle the spotlight from the club's scoring machine.
We can never get the ball down the left, so I'm sure as the year goes on, I'll hopefully chase him down.
Someone's got to keep him honest. Are you there for the job?
Oh, I don't know about that. He's a great player, and hopefully he just throws a couple my way.
Nash Wallace, NBN News. From Perth to the shores of Newcastle, Adam Taggart's journey to the Jets has been an interesting one, but this rising star is no longer sitting and waiting for a go.
We all know that every player has to bide their time, and when you get the opportunity you have to take it with both hands, and that's just what I've tried to do so far.
Halfway through the A-League season, Taggart had played more minutes for the Socceroos than Newcastle. 2 goals in the Taiwan win made him the first teen to bag a double for Australia since 1981. And now, in 3 runs as the starting striker for the Jets, he's leaving a mark. The 19-year-old is looking relaxed about this weekend, perhaps his biggest test. The young Jets side will again look to him in a game where 3 points are a must.
I prefer pressure than no pressure. I think if you have pressure, it probably pushes you a little bit further to try and go that extra step.
Do you have a point to prove?
Yeah, I think every player's always got a point to prove in terms of your own personal performance.
And it's another seemingly unwanted player that'll also be trying to cement his place against Adelaide. The club today revealed veteran Michael Bridges could well be offered a new contract.
He deserves it. You know, he's really earned it, and he's worked hard, and you know, he's got himself in a position where, you know, he needs to be one of the first names on the team list. His management's talking with the admin here. I think they're not too far away, and stay tuned.
Nash Wallace, NBN News.
This was Monday. Dead fish littered across the Hunter River, some struggling to survive. 3 days later, and it's a similar scene.
None of the fishermen have seen anything like this.
At Stockton, boats remain docked and fishermen stranded on the shore, watching their livelihood decay on the riverbank.
That's all I do, fish and prawn, and they're all dead, all gone. Crabs are gone, everything's gone.
Means the boat's tied up and I won't be working for a long time. And I don't know who's going to put the bread and butter on the table.
Tests by the EPA and the Office of Environment have confirmed the cause is low oxygen levels in the water, the result of recent floods. Still unsure of when they'll be able to return to the water, these locals are hoping insurance claims will offer some reprieve.
It'll affect us for a while. We're not out this weekend because of it, so we'll just have to see.
As thousands of fish continue to wash up on the banks of the Hunter River, fishermen are raising questions about what's really causing the deaths.
Well, we'd like to know what's actually caused it. We've never ever seen anything. I've been in fishing since '91 and I've never seen anything like this.
The EPA says it's confident mine releases didn't contribute to the deaths.
We have funded on the basis of a proposal that came to it. You can't change this midstream without consequences.
From the senior players to the youngsters, it was congratulations all round. Michael Bridges, seemingly unwanted, now sitting pretty at the Jets for another 12 months.
I would have signed a 5-year, you know that, but obviously we would take it one season at a time. And like I say, if I look back 6 months ago, I would have never seen this coming.
The 34-year-old made a brief appearance in round 10, another off the bench in round 16. The 51-game A-League veteran couldn't hide his delight with a starting spot in round 21.
Did you think you'd ever play for the Jets again?
You start doubting it, and you look back. But like I say, you hopefully have set an example to the young boys, and they've seen that if you're not getting a game and you're not getting involved, then you work hard.
And perhaps pressure from the fans played a role as well.
One game, I was just so humbled, the crowd, I came on for the last 30 minutes of the game and the crowd, the reception I got was almost like going back to the Champions League days at Leeds United, and I was just so humbled by it because I hadn't played all season, so I thank them personally.
He may have a few more supporters if the trip to Adelaide goes to plan. Taylor Regan, Bernardo Ribeiro and Jacob Pepper didn't get a seat on the bus for the must-win. The coach delighted, though, to have an experienced head back from a hamstring injury.
I guess I'm on the earlier side of recovery, so we'll just see how it goes.
Zenon Caravella, who joined the Jets from United, might just hold the key to keeping the finals hopes alive.
It doesn't carry any more significance for me playing against my old club. The fact that we need 3 points, it's a big game for that.
Nat Wallace, NBN News.
Yeah, put on a couple of kilos, but the boys have been in me, thought it was around my guts, but there's more around my arse, I think, more than anything. But obviously the training we're doing is very, very, very tough, and especially in the gym, it's all a lot of high weights and stuff like that.
It was a delicate and painstakingly slow operation for this special delivery all the way from Spain. With a price tag of almost $2 million, a Hunter Valley family is about to call this motor cruiser home. Terry Connolly and his wife Jennifer have lived at Branxton for 24 years. Now they're setting sail on a new adventure.
Well, for 3.5 years I've been looking for a particular boat so that we can move on and live on it, right? Because we want a lifestyle change, if you like. So a sea change seemed good. And 3.5 years later it's here, sitting on the water, but it's been a lot of work and it's not for the faint-hearted, let me tell you.
With 7 bathrooms and 5 bedrooms, the cruiser also boasts a colourful history, previously owned by an English lord as a party vessel. Meanwhile, others planning to take to Newcastle Harbour now have a new option, with Moonshadow Cruises today launching its City Sights and Sounds tour.
Over the last couple of months, we have had a lot of interest from international markets.
This is just one small initiative that I hope is going to drive some big tourism opportunities in China for the Hunter Valley.
Also on the harbour this morning, but bound for Adelaide, 3 hull blocks manufactured by Forjax at Carrington and Tomago for the Australian Navy's Air Warfare Destroyer project.
These 3 blocks will become part of what is one of the most advanced warships in the world.
Emma Murphy, NBN News.
They're going to be much more accountable for their behaviour within the workplace. There are too many people whose lives have been destroyed because of bullying.
Today, Professor Jim Denham received a round of applause from his peers, but there are hundreds of Hunter men even more thankful for his work concerning prostate cancer.
We used to have the lowest rates of early detection of prostate cancer and testing in New South Wales. And with the advent of the Little Prick campaign, of which Professor Denham was instrumental, it's now one of the highest.
Raising the awareness of prostate cancer and getting a lot of men to get earlier diagnosis has been a major achievement.
Around 700 men in the Hunter are diagnosed with the disease each year. About 150 don't survive. But improvements in early detection combined with advances in treatment, thanks to Professor Denham and his team, are showing signs of improving mortality rates.
For the men who get diagnosed with the more locally advanced cancers, we're hoping that our new treatments will actually cure a lot more of them.
Meanwhile, health and welfare workers also met in Newcastle today as part of a 2-day seminar aimed at improving men's access to information and support services.
The Men's Health Forum, the state peak body, is trying to change that by training up workers in better ways to work with men, and then men's health will improve.
Kath Landers, NBN News.
The final touches were still being added this morning ahead of 4 races which will feature more than 2,000 competitors. Come Sunday, only the fittest will tackle the Olympic course, which starts at the brewery before taking a long and winding road.
The long course of the triathlon does actually go up Kingerwood Park, and it goes up there 6 times. We're probably calling this the hardest Olympic distance race in Australia for that reason.
Tomorrow's proceedings will start with a Tri Junior before the festival's first ever women's triathlon.
In the swim leg, it's often a bit rough and tumble in a triathlon, and I think the women will appreciate having a bit of an open field, a slightly smaller course, so it's very achievable for people.
They won't be the only female athletes competing this weekend, thanks to the return of Women's Premier League football. Undefeated during the 2012 regular season, Lake Macquarie has unfinished business after being smashed by Adamstown in the decider.
They say that the premiership's for the club and the grand final's for the players, so for the players we'd really like to win the grand final this year.
Lake Macquarie's W-League stars Hannah Brewer, Bronte Bates and Tara Andrews have all moved to Sydney to further their careers, giving others the chance to impress.
It's so important, that the W-League coach can come and have a look at these players and look at the local talent and see, are they ready to take that next step.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News. At 63 kilos, Tyson Lantry doesn't cut the most intimidating figure. That is, until he pulls on the gloves.
Tyson's has got the goods to be a champion and a world champion. It's all about dedication and training and just hard work.
He's been putting in plenty of that lately. To prepare for his professional debut, the 19-year-old has spent the past 6 weeks training every day under the watchful eye of coach Neville Short. They've worked together since Tyson was a promising young motorbike rider.
So I got into training to, build up, and it just took over. I loved it. So everything that I wanted to do always involved boxing. So it took over, and here I am today.
The father figure believes Lantry can make a winning debut.
Lucas Mason's had about 17 pro fights, and we're not underestimating Lucas. Lucas does come to fight, but I'm pretty confident with Tyson's skills and everything else that I think we'll do the job.
Tyson's biggest fan is his partner Kobe, even though she's never seen him in a proper bout. She'll make her debut ringside tomorrow, 25 weeks pregnant.
What scares you more, getting into the ring for your first professional fight or becoming a dad?
Oh, I'd say becoming a dad. Yeah, it's different, it's new, so something that I'm not as experienced at.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
For decades in the Hunter, coal has been king. But protesters are standing up against that rain. Assembled by the foreshore, they pounded the pavement, protesting the city's proposed fourth coal terminal. T4 could increase port exports by up to 100 million tonnes a year.
This campaign is just going to get bigger and stronger.
Their message, stopping traffic. But what they really want is state and federal governments to stop the proposal altogether.
Dust particles that will come out of the site itself and along the rail corridor, and the number of trains that will be added bringing coal into the Port of Newcastle. We feel very strongly that this is going to be a threat to the health of the public.
Distance no barrier for those passionate about the plight.
I'm concerned that other communities are going to be decimated in the same way mine was.
And they're not about to turn down the volume.
As much as I can until I lose my voice.
We want to win people's awareness and appreciation of the fact of what we're losing.
Port Waratah Coal Services says it remains committed to the project. Christy Reading, NBN News.
The Jets started like a team on a mission. Connor Chapman could have put Newcastle in front, but his header was ruled out. Everyone seemed to agree Taggart's strike should have counted. At the other end, a former Red saved the day, as he's done so often this season. Desperate for the win, you got the feeling it wasn't Newcastle's night. Until the recently re-signed Michael Bridges put the visitors in front. The Jets' lead lasted 5 minutes. Adelaide hit back after the break. The controversy continued as Newcastle was denied what looked like 2 penalties. The home side thought they'd stolen the points in stoppage time, but the officials were left red-faced again.
It's my first ever triathlon. My background is running, 800s in particular. Yeah, so that's it. I've just been training for 8 weeks.
It's a far cry from the thriving city centre of old.
Tenants are desperate. Landlords are desperate. We were desperate years ago. There are 28 vacant retail spaces at this time, so there's not a lot to come here for.
In November 2011, Maitland City Council resolved to open the mall to traffic. That still hasn't happened. In a dangerous twist, many motorists have decided to drive through the strip regardless.
We need help now. We need to reinvigorate now. And the time for talk is too far gone.
Council says the delay is because the works have grown beyond what was originally planned, including building links to the river. It's commissioned detailed design plans for the works, estimated to cost $17 million, and Council says those will be finalised shortly. Patrick Lane owns Ken Lane Menswear. It's survived and thrived in the mall for 65 years. He says the grander redevelopment is vital to ensuring the mall's future.
It has dragged on, there's no doubt it's been taking time. But I think you're better off doing something once and doing it properly, getting it right. And if that takes a little bit of extra time, I'm prepared to wait.
Council will meet with the Community Reference Panel on Tuesday. Emma Murphy, NBN News.
Wine tourism is flourishing. We're doing very well up here, but we can always do better, and this will attract a whole new set of people we couldn't reach out to previously.
Newcastle looked like providing perfect conditions for the triathlon's 20th running, but organisers deemed the harbour unsafe for swimming because of debris. The opening leg was changed to a 2.8k run, and it was Novocastrian Elliot Collins who set the early pace. The 17-year-old led the field onto the bike for 40 k's of torture. Another local hope emerged in fourth. Wollongong's Nathan Miller was back in 10th, Steph Austin a clear leader for the girls. Returning from the first of 5 trips to King Edward Park, Collins was in control. With Tim Lang and Miller in hot pursuit. Carey Barrett loomed as Austin's main rival and at one stage enjoyed the lead, but she was disqualified post-race for receiving outside assistance. By the final lap on the bike, less than 5 seconds separated the top 3. Miller would be first into transition, but the race was far from won. The 28-year-old headed down the breakwall for the first of 4 trips. Collins soon chased him down. Into the home stretch, Lang had the edge, but cramp would cost him victory. In the end, Miller added his name to the winners list, while the locals both collapsed after claiming second and third.
Pretty tough conditions out there, obviously, with the wind, and I was a little bit disappointed that they cancelled the swim this morning. I've been working on my swim a fair bit over the last 3 months.
Austin took out the women's race, with Barrett pushing her all the way.
Thought that if I save my legs a little bit for the run, I might be able to catch her. When I heard a minute 40, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to make it, but I caught her on the second lap, so no, I was really, really happy.